Hi and welcome to another Type with Me. Today I'm going to talk about CSS Houdini paint worklets. Last week I gave an introduction to CSS Houdini, and this week I want to go and dive a little bit deeper into how you can create paint worklets and how they work. So if you go to Code Adrian Houdini examples, you will find some examples. So the example that we're going to look at today is the paint API example. So if you're going to look at the example, you will see here that we first check if css.paint worklet exists, right? After that, I am going to jump to this line, and here we are going to say that we want to have css.paint worklet.add module, and then I want to add the module paint worklet of ripple. Then if we go to a little bit further into the code, you will see here that we want to have a reference to example, that's a div, and when we click on it, we're going to change some CSS variables, some custom CSS variables, right, to animate it. And then here you have your request animation frame, right, to perform the animation and to work with it. So if we go to CSS and then we go a little bit deeper, we see here that we have our variables, right, for the ripple effect. And then here we can do background image paint ripple. If you're now going to take a look into the code, we'll see here that we have our ripple effect, right? Well, if you want to create your own paint worklet, right, then you can do something like this. Here I created a placeholder.js, and here we have a class placeholder box painter. It has a static get input properties, right, and these are our custom CSS variables. And then of course we can just create some code to try some lines. First of all, I'm just gonna put this into comments. And of course these lines as well, because these are just something that I want to add to the story later on. So basically you don't need to have these properties, right? You don't need to have these input properties. You can just use the context, and the context is like the canvas 2D API, and then we can draw some lines there into our browser. Now if we go to our index.html, we can go for our placeholder.js. Then if I refresh the page, you see here that we have our placeholder. Alright, so what we now could do is use custom properties, right? And you can very easily identify them with input properties, and then just put them there, and then try to access them with props.get, and then your property name, right? And then try them out. So it's important to just refresh and have some great names here. One of the things that's annoying is the fact that there is some caching. Right, and now we see here that this one doesn't or is not changed, right? But here we go, we have something like this. CSS unparsed value, and then we have here 10, and then we have here our color. On one or another reason, it's not been parsed correctly or very good. And that's because he doesn't know how to handle it, right? So how could we do that then? Well, we could, for example, go to index here and define our CSS Custom Properties. And I'm going to put this one. I say, hey, do we have register property in CSS? And then we just register them. Stroke width, which is a number. And the initial value could be 5. And here we can do something like this, right? And then you see here that we already have our value 10. Only the color is not working, and I have no idea or no clue why. So if you have an idea, please paste it into the comments below to help me around here, and maybe also help other people getting around with that. What you could do is, of course, just do something like toString, and then you will see here, hey, we have a exception type error or something like that. So I'm gonna check that first, and then we can see how far we can go, right? Right, so if we do a toString, then we get here RGB 102, 102, 102, so I think he takes the default values. So one or another reason, if you define how a custom property needs to be defined, it could be that maybe you have first, parsed the custom variables and then you register the properties, or vice versa. So you need to see how you can get that order right. So this is it for me. This is some kind of first tutorial, first way of how the paint worklets could work. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will dive also a little bit deeper into it and create some cool stuff with it. For me, it was a pleasure to dive a little bit deeper into this new API for the browser and to learn how you can manipulate the browser render engine. Thank you very much and see you next time.